what's it like being the gal chased with a chainsaw? Well, tonight we're going to find out, because we have 3 of my favorite horror gals here, and we are going to discuss what it's like being murdered, tortured, and various other things on film. The Scream Queen night on the Andy Choi Show starts now. I'm going to introduce my guests. First, we have the lovely and talented Debbie D, who came to us all the way from Pennsylvania.
Well,
how are you doing, Debbie?
Good, I'm good. It's Philadelphia, you know. They're shooting Empire and everything else there. I mean, Philly is the home of brotherly love, so we're only an hour and a half. Don't let them fool you there.
Was the train ride anything like the train ride in Hostel?
No.
No. You didn't run into any rampaging European gangs?
No.
No, it's unfortunate. Now,
not this trip.
Now, so you said Philly, because New Yorkers tend to think of Pennsylvania as kind of rural, so we would expect it to be the kind of place where you'd have some neighbors stopping by with a chainsaw. But you're saying that's not the case. You live in the heart of this big city.
Yeah, yes. We're a city, like this is a city, and it's only an hour and a half away by train. And we have, I guess, just as much crime as any other city, but...
Way to go. So, but keep in mind that chainsaws are also useful in settling parking disputes. So you might want to keep one of those in the trunk, just in case. Okay. We're going to move on to Genoveva, Genoveva Rossi, one of the hardest working gals in horror. I just checked out your IMDb page there, and I believe you have 84 things that you've been in.
Absolutely, and more credits will be added soon. And you know what, when you talk about the chainsaw, I want to mention a film that I was in called Dead Men Tell No Tales. And in that movie, I get to kill people with a chainsaw. I had on-the-job training that day. I had never used a chainsaw before. I had gone out to West Virginia. They taught me how to use a chainsaw, and then I got to use the chainsaw. It was pretty exciting. They were like, yeah, that's a trigger, just like a gun. I haven't handled that many guns. I'm from New Jersey. And they're like, oh. Because people in West Virginia are used to handling guns and chainsaws. But it was really a lot of fun. It was an honor to show up there with my chainsaw and my leopard print bra and panties and kick some ass.
So you have both been screamed at and screamed in films. So this is kind of the flip side. Now, as an actual victim, what would you say the most brutal way you've ever been murdered has been?
Oh my goodness, there was one film called Perseveration where I'm bent over a chair and they had like a fake apparatus that was my back getting ripped off. My back was getting ripped apart by a baseball bat covered in barbed wire. And it was a really gore explicit scene with blood flying everywhere, and it really looked like my back was being torn open. So that was probably my goriest scene. It was very difficult to shoot because I had to bear my full body weight bending over a chair for a couple hours. And by the time we were done shooting, my arms were like shaking. So that was probably one of my most difficult scenes, gore-wise, but also physically getting killed. And I like, I call myself a horror queen or a scream queen, but I like to think I make others scream as often as I scream myself.
Okay. So
I like to keep it balanced.
You're kind of a switch hitter there, basically.
I'm a switch hitter, yeah, as we would say.
With a bat, actually.
Scene, and also in the horror scene, yeah. I'm a bottom, I'm a top.
Very nice. Okay. Now we have one of my favorite people. Aww. One of the nicest people you'll ever meet, Samantha Cole. And I feel that you develop a special bond with someone once you've orchestrated their brutal murder. And she was actually the star of my film, Scars of a Predator, which will hopefully be released soon. And Samantha, what was it like being murdered on screen?
It was very fun, actually. It was fun, and it was a blast. Yeah, I had a great time. It was pretty disgusting. I believe I was stabbed in the vagina.
Oh, don't give too much away.
Oh! Spoiler alert!
Keep your private parts private for now.
My goodness.
But you did have a bit of a rough time with it, but I gotta say, she's nice to us even when we were murdering her, which is really just the kind of person that you're dealing with. Very nice, very professional, and dies very nicely. I mean, she did a fine job.
Thank you, Andy.
So, now that you know the players, what scares you guys? I mean, I know for me, I don't like heights, which is probably why I keep my show's rating so low. But, but for all of you, like Debbie, you just seem fearless. What's your deal? What scares you?
Ugly people, mean people, I guess people that lie, That's about, because in this business we got so much coming at us and so much blood and things that go boom and bang in the night that I think we're used to that. So it's basically more like a realistic thing when people are just unfair to you. You know, they're scary people because if you can't trust someone, then you know.
So you're probably not big on politicians, I guess.
No.
Okay. Well, that's understandable. Everyone's scared of that. Okay, Genoveva, what scares you? You also seem like kind of a tough type of fearless gal.
Well, you know, when you act in horror, you certainly have to address a lot of your fears, and I would say that I am a pretty resilient and fearless person. But I guess what's the scariest thing for me is something that comes up a lot of times in psychological horror, is just like the depth of evil or psychotic behavior that can exist in some people that you don't even realize is there. That somebody can kind of turn on you so quickly. You know, and that happens so many times we see in the news and in life that you think you know someone and then they just flip and become something else, you know? And that unpredictable nature that humans have, you know, and animals certainly have too.
So it's great. You gals, you're not afraid of spiders, heights, anything. You're afraid of people. So I think I know the producer that you've worked with. You guys both in the same film.
Not yet.
I
Isn't
won't
that
mention any names. Okay.
Oh, were we in the same? Yes, we were in the same. We were in a film together.
I don't think we were.
I think we didn't shoot together, but we were in a film together. I think someone told me that. I said I got to find out the name of that.
I don't know if we're in a film. I think we were supposed to be in a film together, but it hasn't happened yet. That's what I think happened.
That's because that guy lied to you.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's hard to tell, you know, sometimes
Never trust them again, folks.
we do so many different films, and sometimes, you know, people at home are probably thinking how they not know whether they've been in a film together, but sometimes you can do so many different films and you're not necessarily on set together, so you don't always see each other in the film, and you don't always have a sense of how many people are part of the cast, because, you know, you could be filming for 30 days and maybe, you know, you were only there for 2 days. And maybe I wouldn't see Debbie because she was there 2 weeks later, you know?
Okay, well, this show will be posted on YouTube, so I expect the audience to do tireless research and find any films that these girls have been in together, so that they know what the hell they've done, because they don't seem to be very aware of it. So.
I don't think we have done any films together. I think we came close to doing a couple of films together, but I don't think it quite happened.
When we watched the film all the way through, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, like there she is.
Like, there he is in there.
Is that her? Like she's
I haven't watched all of my films.
I'm not either.
I have 84. I don't have that much free time.
There's probably 30 that I haven't seen yet.
How many have you been in?
So many years go by.
So Debbie, how many things have you been in altogether, officially?
Oh my gosh. Well, there's the B, and then there's a lot of custom work.
Well, actually, like on your IMDb, I have to admit I did not check out your total. Do you have any idea what your?
I think on there they I don't know how many they have listed. The last time I saw
over 100.
Over 100, I think is listed, but there's got to be over 200 since you know the 90s.
Oh,
you know, and then a lot of things I do custom work, and I feel I'm just doing a custom, or I get people involved with my customs that fit the role, and then they turn it into a movie. They add more things to it. And I thought this was just a custom job. So there's that too. I mean, all different budget, low budget, no budget, kind of. That's the realm we kind of swim in.
So you've been acting for a while then, since the 90s. What year did you start acting?
I started out as a singer. So I got real lucky with that.
You was a singer. I'm a musician myself. So what did you do as a?
I had a 12-inch single out. It was called "I Want You in My Life" under Debbie D. I was in here running all around, you know, doing my little dance thing and stuff. And then they actually had a resurgence of the song. That was in '92. They did a resurgence of it, and they were mixing it with Lady Gaga in the clubs up here. And I said, well, that's good. You know these things when your fans come and tell you about it. But that's cool. But it's just one song that I had out. You know.
Cool.
Well,
congrats.
we don't want to leave Samantha out here.
No.
Now, you've probably not been in 100 films, but like, what would you say? What would you consider your most prominent role? How many things have you been in so far?
You know, I lost count at I counted 54 films and I did 56 plays, but that was like 3 years ago. I stopped counting, so I don't know how many.
So over 50, so it's still a lot of stuff. What would you say your signature role is? What would you pick if you wanted to say what you're known for?
I I don't know. I don't think I could say
So
that.
you're
I
the one
don't
that
know
stands
if
out
I'm
from
really.
the pack, basically.
I don't really know. If
But it's usually the
known.
fan mail. You keep hearing the same one over and over, like the ones they like the best.
Don't get any fan
Yeah,
mail.
what do your stalkers bring up most often?
You're
See?
obsessed fans.
Yeah, see, I would make a terrible stalker because I'm really clumsy. I'd be knocking over garbage cans outside your window. It wouldn't work out.
And then you'd be a zombie.
Right.
You have to be quiet when you're a stalker.
Do you guys have stalkers?
A
Have you had
zombie
any
stalker.
problem with that?
Well, down in Philly, like I say, I keep myself down there.
Those are
so-
just your neighbors. It's hard to tell the difference in Philly.
People do tend to get obsessed with scream queens and actors and actresses. That certainly happens. I think a lot of times you do end up with people reaching out to you online. Probably more online stalking I've probably had, and because of the internet now and Facebook and social networking, I think that's become more common. I try not to have any physical stalkers. I prevent it the best that I can. But online, I'm sure we've all had that experience.
I think when you freshly get done a film, like you asked me when I started, I would say it was like 1993 was my first film.
What was your first film?
Burglar from Hell.
Burglar from Hell. And can you give us an idea of what that was about? What was that?
The guy comes out of the grave. They build a home on a burial ground, and then he comes. They were having a seance of some sort, and he comes back to life, and he kills everybody in the house.
That's a murderer from hell, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess.
Did he have a good lawyer who pleaded this down to burglar?
That's a good point.
Well, it was Burger from Hell, but when I got on the Howard Stern show, it was all about burgers from hell, and then that became a big joke. You can't get on that show without things being like just a big. But getting back to where we were talking about stalking, after you do a film, I think that's when people notice you more. And New York is like they'll come up, they'll say hi or come up to you privately, or they'll just be looking at you and you're not really sure if they're looking at you or why they're looking at you. But on this level, it's still safe.
Okay, you haven't had any big problems.
No.
No.
I had a woman
I have your
harassing
contact
me for
info
about
now,
2
so.
years online. She was harassing me. There was another actress, and she had some jealousy issues. She had propositioned me sexually, and a whole bunch of things like that. And she was stalking me online for almost 2 years. I had to have police intervention.
Wow.
Yeah, and I did run into her at a couple events. So that
What
was my
did she
closest
want
thing.
from you?
Me sexually, which
Yeah.
I don't blame her for. Partly.
So you want
I
yourself too.
understand where she was coming from with that, and I don't blame her.
And you understand where she wanted to be going with that too.
Yeah, I have empathy for that one. But at the same time, she just took it too far and she didn't deal well with rejection. And then I think, it was like this weird obsessive, like kind of single white female thing where we had worked on a couple films together. She had started harassing me. She had started, propositioning me. I had rejected her. It made things kind of worse. Maybe she wanted to be me. It was kind of like, it reminded me of a single white female a little bit. And then eventually it went on for like 1.5 years, 2 years, and people were telling me to ignore her, and I tried doing that, but then she would keep doing it, and I would try addressing it, and then she would still keep doing it, and then eventually, cyber stalking and things like that is illegal, so I had to have some intervention, and I had to document it and things like that, and then she seems to have backed off. And then once in a while I have some crazy people contact me that are a a little weird. I get a lot of penis pictures.
Yeah. Oh, I love them.
Sometimes I get some pretty
See,
good ones, but
Debbie is a roll with the penis kind of gal.
I'll have to send you some that I got that you might want to check out, and you can send me yours.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll
guys-
exchange.
No, this is a very odd sexual relationship developing between you guys. Sending each other the penis pictures that men have sent you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. I mean, I feel like I'm a nudist at heart, just because when I was younger, I would take off my clothes, Mom would put them on, I would take them off. So I just think everybody should be nude.
So you've done nudity in films, I take it.
I'll be sending her my penis picture later.
I didn't even know you had a penis. Reveal here first, folks. All right.
No, just send a rated picture.
Ratings.
Yeah.
So, okay, so, well, we want to hear from Samantha. Have you had any problems with, you're like such a nice, cute, young, innocent-looking girl here. Have you been harassed by anyone but me?
No, I haven't been harassed
I can
that
pick
much.
up the pace if you
Yeah, I
if you
mean,
want.
most people are pretty harmless, People seem nice, I guess. My boyfriend sometimes doesn't like it, but you know, most people are pretty harmless, I think.
So no real problems with you? No penis pictures for you yet?
A few. Not
okay.
too many, but you
I
know.
lost your email address, so. Yeah, so don't worry, huh?
We'll
I've
send
got
you
your
our
info
leftover
now.
penis
Yeah,
pictures.
right.
We could recycle them to you.
This is like,
Yeah,
this is the most bizarre
I'm a
version of
member of
group
a
sex
group called
I've ever
Penises
heard
for
of
the
in my
Needy.
life.
And I send my penis pictures to that one for all the women that don't get enough penis pictures.
Yeah.
I'd like to get more. You know, sometimes I get some pretty exciting ones. Some guy that does porn sent me one a while ago, and you know, I showed it to one of my guy friends, and he really thought it could have been a fake penis because of how.
Endowed.
Yeah, he was like, "That's not real. No one has a penis like that."
This is
and I even
penis
said to the guy,
picture
"I'm like,
envy.
I receive a lot of penis pictures, and I'm like, yours really stands out." I'm going to say that. It stands out of the pile.
What do you think the odds are this guy has heard this before? This has got to be the first time.
Well,
I think
he's
we
ever
should-
complimented on
He
the
said he
quality
did pornography,
of his
so I
unsolicited
think
penis
that's how you
Yeah.
get into pornography.
Maybe we should put a book out, Scream Queens, you know, and the
penis pictures that
we
we've
have
received.
received.
Okay, well,
People love picture books.
Yeah, it would be a really exciting picture. But once in a while, I do get pictures from women, though, not usually pussy pics or anything like that. But I do have women on rare occasion. Actually, I have gotten pussy pics. I just lied. I have gotten pussy pictures, and from a couple women, and I have had some like pictures of women in their lingerie or their breasts. So once in a while, I do get pictures from women.
okay.
Not as much as I do the men.
Which
But
do
I
you
welcome
prefer?
them more so because it's like variety is the spice of life.
Which do you prefer?
I think I prefer to get the women pictures because
Yeah.
I think they're less threatening. I don't get them as often, and sometimes the women are a little artsy. Like one girl was wearing different lingerie outfits.
But the thing
She
is,
put more thought into it.
I think when women send it to you as compared to men, you don't really get the point, do you?
It's a little cuter.
There was a
and
joke
then,
in there
and then
somewhere.
I don't get the point yet. And I think it shows me that I have maybe a little bit more mass appeal than maybe I thought I did, you know, and things like that. When I want to interject what year I started acting, I have 84 acting credits currently on IMDb, and I started acting in horror in October 2011.
Wow, you just really
Oh my
ranked them up
So you
quickly.
do like 3 a day?
I try. I try.
So you have to do this full time to get that many
I am
in.
like pretty much a full-time actor at this point. And I'm also a tarot card reader, so I predominantly focus on those two things. It can get busy at times. And my first film was Jacko Slasher, directed by my good friend Jen Valdez, a female director. I play a sexy Satanist in that one. And I've actually ended up playing a sexy Satanist like 3 or 4 times in different movies. It's like, and then also an evil witch and a gypsy. So if I had a typecasting, it would be that I would be this evil woman that puts a spell on you and forces you to do things you kind of do want to do. But maybe you don't want to
I
admit
would
it.
think a sexy Satanist is pretty much what people are looking for. Do they really want like kind of like a dour, frumpy Satanist? I mean, that can't sell.
Yeah, you know what? If you're going to be a Satanist, you want to be sexy about it. You do because you love it, you know.
Have
Yeah.
you done a lot? I mean, I know obviously mine was a horror film. Have you done many other horror films?
I have done a few, yes.
Like what would you say? Give me some moments that stand out from the horror films that you've done.
I did one, it was called Harmless, and I had this great prosthetic where I was supposed to have been hit by a car, and it was like my face got ripped off, I guess. It was like against the concrete, I guess, my face on the concrete, so I had this disgusting prosthetic. That was really fun. And last week I did one, it's more of a comedy, but it's about a shit monster.
A what kind of?
A poo monster?
Oh.
Excuse my language, I'm sorry.
I can't believe you
Well,
used the
it's a
word.
really big monster.
You mean a poo-poo monster.
Yes,
That's
a
the
poo
correct
monster.
Yeah.
Who came up with the idea for this? This is not.
It's a comedy, yeah.
Well, bathroom humor, obviously.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
And when will that be?
I'm not sure exactly when. Soon, I think.
Will people be making fun of it? Will it be the butt of jokes?
I think so, yeah.
It will be the butt of jokes. I love it.
So roll off the top of my head. Yeah. Okay. So how many would you say you've done? How many horror films? Because you've done like 50 things. You're not. I know you've done a variety of things. It's
Right.
not just all horror.
I'd say maybe
These guys kind of specialize.
4 or 5.
4 or 5
films.
horror films. And how does that compare to being in a more traditional film for you, would you say?
My favorite is the horror films, I have to say.
Yes,
I love
okay.
doing horror films. It's my
Very
favorite.
nice. So you're in the
It's
right
most
place.
fun. Yeah.
So have you
can
ever got
stay.
to play the heavy?
What's that?
Like Genoveva got to play the heavy in a film recently. Have you ever gotten to do that, or were you all kind of a cute victim generally?
Usually I play the victim. I play the victim, which I like to play the victim. I think I enjoy
We
that.
enjoyed victimizing her. She was a great sport about being murdered. It was a lot of fun for me too.
It's all about like I say, I do a lot of the custom work in between the movies, and that keeps me, I guess, lubricated. Or
Lubricating. Okay.
Does it have anything to do with the
Things just got a
pictures
little
you've been receiving from Genoveva?
I do like different roles, so many different roles with that, because I think the people that see in the horror movies, they want to see you do other things. So they write these scripts so that you do other things.
Right.
And I would say that I would like to do like love stories and serious roles and play a doctor and do more of that.
So you want to branch
Than
out?
horror, definitely, because I had a taste of it doing a lot of the custom stuff, and I think I enjoy those roles better than being the victim or being the one that's always killing you or putting a spell on you. I mean, enough's enough. You know what I mean? As far as I've done a
never
lot
have
of
enough
that.
horror.
An actor is an actor,
Right.
and so there's nothing I don't want to do as far as try
You
or,
want to
or
stretch your
expand
limits there.
it
Explore
all the
new
way.
territory. Very nice. So what was the first horror movie that made an impression on you guys? I know for me, when I was 6 years old, my grandmother took me to see The Birds. I cried, she laughed at me, and then we had ice cream. So it was really fun experience for everyone. But what was the first movie that really stands out in your mind that freaked you out?
The Exorcist. for
The
me.
Exorcist, yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Most-
yeah.
And then Jaws, right?
Jaws
Yeah,
was good.
that's a good one too. Yeah. That made you afraid to go in the water, and
For life.
Exorcist made
And
you
I-
want to be.
and I'm a
good Catholic
mermaid.
girl.
And that made you afraid of holy water.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah, those were films that really had a huge effect. I think
On
Amityville
everybody.
Horror is another one too.
Yeah.
That really
Okay.
like some of these films are really like almost scarring. Like you watch them and like you watch Jaws, like you brought up, like going into the ocean after watching Jaws. It changes that experience, doesn't it?
Even
Well-
going in the pool.
Right, yeah.
He could have gotten
shark.
the pool.
It does something to your
Maybe he's
mind.
in-
Or even on land. Remember
Right,
on
the-
Saturday Night Live, the land shark?
Well, the Sharknado. What about that? Sharknado.
Oh, well,
Shark
that's,
avalanche.
well, when you get really
They get
realistic
everywhere.
like Sharknado, then it really can be
Those
bad.
I
sharks
mean, it
can
could
find you
happen, you
anywhere.
know. They
Oh,
get
absolutely.
caught up in that, and you know.
Absolutely.
They're
Do
very
you remember the land
versatile.
shark on Saturday Night Live? Just a dolphin, man.
Wow.
Okay. Well,
Right.
what about you, Samantha? What was the first horror movie that made an impression on you?
Psycho, I think, was the first one I saw ever, and I
You're
was
talking
just
about
like,
the original Psycho
yes,
with
the original Psycho.
the
That's a good
Alfred
one,
Hitchcock.
yeah.
That's a good way to go.
Yes, and I was hooked since then. I
Taking
love horror
in
movies.
the shower. Like,
Yeah,
What was that?
Yeah,
you
that's
said,
a great
Samantha?
I've been hooked on horror movies. I can't watch any other kind of movie. I'm sorry.
Really?
I can't.
Really?
I don't
So
like
you're a
horror movies.
hardcore.
Yes.
Do you want to get her your catalog? Because you might have a pretty big seller here. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Samantha.
actually, I would love to see both of your guys' films.
Well,
There we go. We'll have to
Yeah.
trade films.
Films and penis
and
pictures.
pictures,
And
yeah.
penis pictures. And I'm going to say that I don't just do horror films, or that's what I'm known for the most. I have done some comedy. I did a Christian film that we were in called Tapestry. And I've done some theater. I ended up doing like 3 religious movies, actually. That Tapestry film. I was recently in a movie called, what was it, Song of Terror, where I play a saint that someone has dreams and visions of. And then I was also in a play last year called Harlots and Heresy. And I played Delilah of Samson and Delilah. So it's actually a biblical play. So, and I'm also going to be doing an Edgar Allan Poe readings for Halloween this year. So I'll be doing some theater then too.
Well, this brings up an interesting point. I know before you guys were trying to figure out if you'd been in anything together. Well, we actually have been in a couple, now 3 things together, I think.
What are they?
Well, we were in Tapestry, as you mentioned.
Yes, Christian film with Stephen Baldwin, Tina Louise, and Burt Young, which should hopefully be out in 2017.
Well, Keep Hope Alive.
I do.
Well, then my movie we were both in.
Scars of the Predator.
She
and so
was also in
Samantha.
it, and Samantha was in it.
Yeah.
And don't forget a movie that I don't know if we'll ever get finished, but we were in a warehouse with zombies chasing vampires or something, weren't we?
You were in a soldier
I was a
thing,
soldier.
and I think I had fangs in my mouth.
You were a vampire,
Yeah.
probably. And there were zombies too. What was that called? I can't even remember.
I forgot
Right, that one.
that one.
And that was actually the same day we were filming a scene for my movie. We had to go out to New Jersey and film that in this warehouse, and then drive into Manhattan to the Gansevoort to film a scene for my movie. So it was like a hell of a day for me.
Oh yeah, I remember that. And I'm not sure what happened. That we were doing the teaser trailer that day, and I'm not sure if they finished the film or they didn't finish the film. I almost remember the name, but I don't. But I remember you were in camouflage.
I was.
And I remember I remember the fake blood, and I remember
Kind
the
of the way
warehouse.
Samantha is in camouflage today, kind of blending into the background. She can be seen on camera, I hope. This isn't just like a voice coming from someone?
She was wearing actually a black dress, but her dress actually conformed to the color of the furniture when she sat down, like a chameleon.
So what would you guys say were like some of the highlights of your career? I mean, I'm talking before tonight,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
before this show,
I had to think about that.
because that's going to change everything.
Yes. I like it warm. I like it warm when I'm shooting outside, as we were talking about before. And basically, I was supposed to shoot down in Texas, and it was supposed to be cold. And then we didn't shoot that day, so we shot the day it was warm, and I was so happy. So I guess that stands out in my mind that it was actually
Good weather.
warm. Good weather.
Debbie, it's
all
easy to
about
please.
Good weather.
Okay. Well, I like warm weather too. It's pretty cold in that freaking factory we were in.
It was cold, as I recall. Yeah, and
Sitting
sometimes
on,
that
like,
happens
wreckage.
with these horror movies, that we're not wearing a lot of clothing and we have to run around. That happened to me in Jacko Slash, my first film, and I'm in my bra and panties trying to be sexy, but I'm really freezing. But for me, some of my high points in my career is that I was in a great movie called Apocalypse Kiss with Michael Berryman and Tom Atkins. That really meant a lot to me at the time. I'm pregnant in that. I give birth. I'm 9 months pregnant, so it was kind of like a dramatic kind of role. I grew up being a big fan of Linnea Quigley, and I got to be in 2 films with her, Hunters and The Sadist. So that was kind of a realization of a dream, to be able to work with someone that you grew up with. And I'm going to be working on my 3rd film with Michael Berryman next year. Bill Oberst and Lynn Lowry, who I'm a big fan of. Lynn Lowry's a great actress of the horror genre. She's been around for a while, acting in like 100 or so films. So I'm super excited about that one. That's called Twin Carnation, and that'll be next year. And I'm trying to think of other high points. Just, it's such an honor for me to work with people that I grew up admiring and being big fans of. I had a cameo in Death House with Sid Haig, Bill Moseley.
He's an interesting character.
Oh yeah, and I was at 2 conventions with Sid Haig recently. We were guests at Monsters and Robots and Scaricon. I did a panel with Sid Haig. Phenomenal guy.
Did you ever see him when he was young and he was trying to play kind of like a leading man in a movie called The Big Birdcage?
No, I did not. I did not.
You got to see this movie. Just for the write-up, it said, oversexed beauties forced to toil in a giant sugar mill by obese homosexual guards. I read that, I got to see this movie. Right? And Sid Haig is a leader of this revolutionary band that are trying to break into this camp where they're working these extremely sexy women in this sugar mill to liberate them. They've got this revolution in South America. It's a really dumb movie, but a lot of fun.
Oh, sometimes the dumbest movies are a lot of fun.
And I'm used to him from the Rob Zombie movie, where he plays this demonic, demented, older clown. But this was like 20, 30 years before.
Yeah, Captain Spaulding. Well, as I was discussing with Sid Haig during this panel, is a lot of people think him playing Captain Spaulding was his first role, but it was actually his 100th film.
Yeah, well, like I said, the movie.
He's had a very long career. He worked with Pam Grier and a whole bunch of people. He's been on television. He's had a very, very busy acting life, and Rob Zombie sought him out for that role without an audition because he specifically wanted Sid Haig for it. And Sid Haig is in the upcoming film that'll be released next year, Death House. It's Gunnar Hansen's script. He wrote it with the director before he passed.
Speaking of chainsaws.
Yeah, speaking of chainsaws, and it was a real honor for Gunnar Hansen, to be able to know when he passed away that his dream would be realized later.
I was in a film with him as well.
Oh, wonderful.
Gunnar, yeah, we were doing
What
that
kind of guy
in
is he?
Nashville. He's a good guy, you know. I mean, everybody's nice to you.
For those who don't know, Gunnar
When you-
Hansen was Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It's when you live with the person you find out what they're really all about. Yeah.
You didn't live with her.
You've had a bad relationship along the line, haven't you?
No, actually, no. Everything's pretty good.
People scare me.
Yeah,
You have to live with a guy.
You don't know what it's like. We should
You
do a
don't know
reality
until you-
show where we all live together and see how that goes over.
Yeah, the Scream Queens live together, you know.
Yeah. Don't
I'll
make me pull out my chainsaw.
And
Again.
I'll take a room, but I will probably sit out the dick pic session.
Oh, but we want to get your opinion on them.
You don't even want to see them.
Oh man, it's terrible. I show them to my guy friends once in a while to get their input. You know,
Yeah.
do you think this is real? Do you think this isn't real?
What are we talking? 2 inputs, 3 inputs? Well, you asked
I
for
think
input.
3 is max.
Okay, that's a different show.
That's a different show. That's a show you're going to do later, just the two.
No, camera's off for that.
Now, you're no shrinking violet. You got more dick pics than I could wave a stick at if that was my idea of a good time.
I do get some. Get some, but like I said, I don't love them as much as you love them. So
Yeah.
everybody should send them to Debbie
Obviously,
and send me the bra and panty pics. I'll look over those.
obviously you're not shy, so you've done nudity in films, right?
You know, I remarkably, for being a horror queen, I've done very little nudity. I have 84 IMDb credits, probably more like 100 credits in real life. I've appeared nude in maybe 9 films. I've never done full nude, only topless and a couple butt shots. Nothing more than that. And at this point, I haven't done a nude scene in about 3 years.
What's that experience like for you?
Yeah.
Was it weird the first time you did it?
The first time I did it was I Spill Your Guts, and it was very difficult because I was cast with a 25-year-old man who was built like a brick shit house and covered in tattoos and kind of hung like a horse. And that was really challenging. And I was like, I'm getting paid for this, to roll around naked with this man. I'm like, acting probably is the vocation for me. You know, this seems good. It makes sense.
Do what you love.
Or don't do it at
Follow
all.
your passion, you know?
We were talking about something more seriously offset.
Yeah.
About when something comes up in life that's real serious, that it seems like on this level we have more strength that we can put that aside and go on.
Right.
And the show must go on.
Right. And here we are.
And the show must go on, no matter what happens, like no matter how difficult things are. And some performers always have that attitude. They always perform no matter what. No matter
Something
how much
comes up, put it aside,
Samantha,
keep going.
you seem so innocent, and obviously you were quite scantily clad in my film. However,
Oh, we'll have to see that movie then.
now you have a stalker.
Getting better and better.
It was actually quite enlightening. But anyway, have you done any nude scenes? Is that something you would be comfortable with? What's your thoughts on that? America is watching.
Right. I actually don't do nudity. I'm fine in a bra and underwear. I'm totally comfortable, happy. I'll just do that all day long. But I don't do nudity. That's my
Now, what if a big role came up?
Yeah, I would do it.
There you go, folks, ladies and gentlemen. I expect to hear from everyone by Monday. Producers from all over the country.
Yeah, if it was millions of dollars and Martin Scorsese directed it.
I'll kick in a couple of bucks.
Yeah,
Right?
Oh, I would probably do
Yeah.
it. I would probably have to do that.
she's holding
I
out for
can't
the
say
real
no to
deal.
It's always interesting to me when you see actresses who never did any for their whole career when they suddenly get into it when they're like 40. Yeah, I still look good. I'm taking my clothes off.
Really? Yeah.
See that all the
Good
time.
for them.
Well, I do my research.
Well, I've even known actors that did that. I did a film called Apocalypse Kiss, and our star, D.C. Douglas, decided to do his first nude scene at the age of 47. And he decided to do it, and he told the director about it because he got into really good shape for the role with a personal chef and a personal trainer.
gosh.
And he had like a washboard stomach, and he's like, I have never looked this good in my whole entire life, and I want it remembered on film before I flub up again, And he did actually maintain it since then. He still looks really good, but he was like, I am so proud of my body, I'm going to do a nude scene. And that is my favorite scene of Apocalypse Kiss, which is now available on Amazon Prime.
Great plug. She is like a promotional machine. Well, the whole nudity thing brings another subject to mind, although I rarely get off of nudity. But
Oh, I'm sorry to hear you rarely get off.
Good work. Touche, as they say in France, during some of the nude scenes. No, but
Indeed.
actually, there was a movie called The Human Caterpillar, which was a favorite of mine. One of the sickest movies I've ever seen. Have you seen
Human
it?
centipede.
Oh, you sure it's not the Human Centipede?
If you like horror films, there's good sick and bad sick. This is great sick.
Is it really?
It is so sick.
I don't know.
Don't see the follow-ups. They were awful. There were two
Really?
sequels that were awful, but the original is great stuff.
The Human Centipede, not the Human Caterpillar, the Human Centipede.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. It was an interesting film.
It was. But
Great date movie.
when somebody goes to see that movie and they say, get your head out of your ass, it's got a whole different meaning.
That must have been a really challenging role as an actor because it's like you have no dialogue and you have to have your face in somebody's butt crack the whole film.
Right.
Like I would imagine like it must have been really challenging for the people that were like all for this role to know whether or not that was a good idea for their career or a bad idea. Like it ultimately was a good idea, but if somebody pitched that to you like, yeah, we have this movie for you, we have no dialogue and you're going to have your face shoved into somebody's butt crack the whole entire time.
Oh, well, no, the people...
It's like it's the ultimate team building exercise. The
You
Human
got to see the
Centipede.
faces before they got stuffed up there.
You do get to see their faces.
Wonder if they had any stand-ins.
It's a good point.
They probably had stand-ins. They probably had
No, they
stand-ins.
didn't, actually.
Oh, really?
I don't think so. But
They
anyway,
probably didn't have the budget for
many
it.
actresses, and some actors too, I think, checked out the script for this film, and a number of them refused to be in it after they saw some of the things they had to do. Has that ever happened to you guys? Have anybody come to you with a script and you said, I'm not doing that, what are you, crazy?
They
'Cause if the answer is no, I'm going to start writing a script when I get home.
they can always alter it to make you more. If they really want you in the film and they see you for this part, and you're like, well, I really don't really want to do exactly that. With me, anything goes except for X-rated. That's my only limitation. So
Right.
I'll take it up to if it makes sense in the movie,
So no hardcore stuff for you.
No.
No, okay.
Turn the camera off at that point.
I'm rewriting the scene. All right, Genoveva, is there anything you not want to do? What's your story?
I'm very selective in the nudity and the sexuality that I do. It has to make sense for my career. It has to make sense for the film. It has to be something that I'm comfortable with the director and comfortable with within the context of my character and story. So I am selective when it comes to that. Otherwise I have done a great variety of films and done some pretty disturbing and crazy characters over the course of my career. So, I'm flexible, but I have to do it, I have to really check things out and kind of analyze things and kind of weigh it. I do have some limitations of what I want to do because it has to make sense from a career standpoint. Like I had somebody ask me, one thing I declined, was I think somebody wanted me to roll around in thumbtacks in a film, and they were real thumbtacks.
Yeah.
And anything, one of the biggest things I've declined is anything that would put me in personal harm or would cause injury. And I have had to decline a couple things based on that.
So you refused to be attacked in this film.
Well, I didn't want to roll around in real thumbtacks, and he was not willing to do fake thumbtacks, and I don't want to have any permanent scars.
Yeah.
No.
And I think I had some other director wanted me to jump into the Niagara Falls, where I would have died. So I didn't do that because that's obviously not a good idea.
I'm going to assume with this guy there was no money up front. It was all...
A snuff film
residual.
sounds like to me.
Yeah, well, I don't think he realized, how extreme the
Jumping into
Falls
Niagara
are.
Falls? Someone really asked you to do that?
Yeah, you really have to be careful with some directors because not all of them have the knowledge of what they're asking you to do, and you have to exercise your own common sense. And if somebody asks you to do something like run in front of a train or jump into Niagara Falls or jump into a hole of ice or something like that.
Burning fire.
Yeah, exactly, and take some kind of risk. You have to think whether or not it's worth based on what you're getting paid, based on the film, based on whether or not they're insured, based on maybe what your manager or your agent thinks. Because you know what? We only live once, and you don't want to end up having a tragic accident like Brendan Lee in The Crow or something like that.
Or Vic Morrow.
Exactly. So
Remember
you
that?
have to, exactly, or like that Twilight Zone movie in the helicopter.
Well, that was
You have-
Vic Morrow.
Exactly, and those two children that were with him. You have to kind of exercise your own judgment because in the end, acting is a very important thing, but so is your life, your health,
But,
your livelihood.
but on a lighter note, we do die for a living.
Oh, exactly. But you
So
know,
we
it's
wanna-
all
we wanna
fake
keep
and-
dying for that
and
living.
and it should be done under the safest of circumstances.
When you get your head chopped off by a helicopter blade, you kind of got to get the take right the first time. because it's really hard to do
Did they
much-
actually use that footage though?
No,
Or were they
no way. But yeah,
No.
he was filming this thing, and this helicopter blade rotated.
Yeah, I
and took his head off.
remember when that was
Well, him
going
and
on.
two children, I believe, too.
Yeah.
I've seen the
Yeah,
footage.
I think one kid was killed that way, and one kid might have gotten killed by getting the helicopter crashing on him or something.
Well, and then the thing that was sad about that is that because of the winds that day, the helicopter pilot didn't want to fly and do the scene, but they were always running above and beyond budget. And the actors, as so often the case, probably felt under pressure not to be difficult, and they have deadlines, and everybody told them it was okay, but you know what, it wasn't okay. And things like that happen. Like I have Michael Caine's book on film, and he says in the book that you have to be really careful. He said one time he was on a film set, and they asked him to swim in the ocean for a scuba diving scene, and there's a shark in the water. And he's like, I'm not going to swim with a shark. And they're like, well, you know, no actor's ever been killed by a shark. And he's like, you know what, I'm Michael Caine, and I don't want to be the first actor that gets killed by a shark. So we're not filming until the shark's gone. And he said he made everybody wait a couple hours, but he's like, you know what, there's only one Michael Caine, and he gets eaten by a shark, then he's not going to be able to do any more films.
So you listen, common sense, and listen to your inner, like the guy who's saying don't fly, and you went against the grain there. It's not worth it. 'Cause I
Exactly.
mean, life is too great. I mean, life is fantastic.
And
Like
this
there is
happens
nothing
in
better
indie
than
film.
life, you know? I mean,
Well, we don't know that for sure.
I
yet.
know they say there's something better. How could it get any better than this?
I'm waiting to get an email back. I'll let
And
you
look
know.
at poor Brendan Lee
It is
in
gonna
The
feel like
Crow.
this.
You know, they fired a gun which had a blank in it into him, and that's really, really dangerous to fire a gun, even if it has a blank in it, into a person's body. Nowadays, they'd probably be very reluctant to do that after that accident. But Brendan Lee probably was not aware of the danger he was being put in at that time. He was probably not fully aware of how much of a great chance there was of that going wrong. I think a little piece of metal came off from the cartridge, and that was fired into him. Because if anything is fired into you at that velocity, it will be fatal.
Yeah.
You know?
The guns we use in film now, it's just gas guns.
Well,
They're loud
and
gas guns now.
I've had some of those guns and films that we've shot, and even them have a danger. So they usually, even when you're firing these kinds of blank firing only guns, they should be fired in a way where the magic of editing is where we're not pointing it right into your face, but a little off from your face, so that if it has anything that shoots out from it, it won't be going into your eyes and blinding you.
I felt that before on starter guns, you know,
Yeah.
just to get the sound. And the shards, I guess they're called. And I felt I got cut from them before, just
Exactly.
shooting
It
in the
is
belly and
dangerous.
stuff.
It
But
is
nothing
dangerous.
scarring, luckily.
But say if
know.
you were shooting in somebody's face and that shot in somebody's eyes,
Yeah,
if
that-
you do
yeah.
anything like that, you have to be really careful and maybe do it at a slight angle. And then with editing, we make it look like we were shooting into the person's face, you know? Because safety first, and with the magic of editing that we have now, you know, you can make it look like somebody's being decapitated. You can make it look like you're shooting someone in the face. It's just a question of how you
It
edit
is
and put it
magic.
together.
Editing is magic. It's a very magical thing. People who edit, I admire that. Editors.
All right, we need to hear from Samantha on.
Yes,
Yeah.
Stretched to
maybe
the
we
limits.
should like trade places.
Has anybody asked you? Well, first of all, has anybody asked you to do anything that you refuse to do?
Actually, I'm so glad that you guys were talking about this gun thing, because actually like 2 days ago I got offered to do a part, and it involved guns, and it sounded great. You know, it sounded like a interesting script, a fun role, but it was very low budget. The guy said there's going to be guns. They're going to be, you know, he's very elusive about. Is there going to be a gun safety person on set? Is there? I mean, what kind of guns are we using? And he wasn't very direct. He said, "Oh, we're using my guns. They're prop guns. We're going to use blank guns. It's going to be at close range, though." And I hate to say no. I hate to say no to a part, but I said no because, you know, it just didn't feel safe. You know, a lot of times on set, you have a gun safety meeting. You bring the gun. You all look. There's no bullets in there. It's fine. It's not a live weapon. But the way that this seemed like maybe it wasn't
You were uncomfortable with this
a
guy's
little
story.
bit, yeah.
Have people lied to you guys much in film? Like someone told you one thing was going to happen and it turned out to not happen?
Yeah, like it's
something
going to be
else?
3 hours and it ends up being 12 hours. That's the
I
biggest
thought
lie.
3 hours was film talk for 12 hours.
That's about it for me. That lying, just the time, but no, joking basically.
Well, you do
know
have
it's
to be
going to take
careful with
long.
these safety things, and also with the gun safety. If it's a blind firing gun, it's a real gun. In New York and New Jersey, to have anything that's like a real gun is 5 years in prison. And there was a story online about an actor in New Jersey who was caught with a gun on set. The director had given him, and he got 5 years in prison for having a gun.
Awful.
New Jersey and New York have very strict gun laws, so before you do a film as an actor, check out the guns that they're using and what the legalities are for that state, because it's not worth 5 years in prison. You know, you got to be careful.
Or someone that's saying that the train tracks are not being used. And then you can't get off them, and that's it.
Well, there was an indie film recently where someone was killed on train
Yeah.
tracks. So you really have to be so careful as an actor. And people make you feel like they don't want you causing problems or having to run beyond budget. But sometimes people don't realize the chances that they're asking you to take, because maybe they're not familiar with the laws. Maybe they're not familiar with the train schedule, themselves. And they're just not giving you like an educated view of the situation, and you have to ask questions you sometimes have to figure out yourself.
Well,
Thank goodness we have the internet,
I know I was in something where I played a detective on the beach in Coney Island, and there was shooting involved, and I said to these guys, I mean, they weren't real guns, but they were realistic guns. I said, did you guys get permits and stuff? No, they just winged it. And I told them, you could end up with a problem. There's not like there's not cops walking around the boardwalk in Coney Island.
All over there. Yeah.
And that could be a couple years in jail. Gun laws in New York, New Jersey are very strict, and maybe if you're coming here from other states, like Rhode Island or Connecticut or Arkansas, Alabama, you might not be familiar with it because it does vary from state to state. But New York, New Jersey are very strict, the strictest in the country.
So can I ask you, what do you do if there's going to be proposed to be guns on set? Because we can't just not do a film. There's going to be guns. How do you make sure that it's safe and that there's permits and that
Well,
it's going to be all
you
good?
have to look into that kind of stuff. I have been used. The guns I've used have been purely prop guns. They have not been real guns. Probably things that you could have used in the theater, things that you use in a film. They do blow off, like you said, like a little bit of debris. A little bit of smoke. I believe that they did get the police department's permission, and we did actually let the police department know that we would be firing them that day, so that if they've got any calls in, that's what it would be. Because you want to alert, your neighborhood to that, because
Usually,
otherwise they might think people are really being shot.
when
they do sound loud.
you get there, they tell you we have the permit. They usually show you the permit that they have too, so it makes you feel better. And that's a shame that had to happen to you with that. That maybe you could have asked to meet with him, or if he's going to say, no, I don't have time, then, you run, but.
Well, and you never know, sometimes people are not familiar with the laws and the legalities of what he's doing. Maybe he's from another state, he doesn't realize even the danger he's putting himself in legally. You never know.
This show is educational.
Isn't it though? Yeah, you have to be so careful with that, especially in the New York, New Jersey area. Like when I filmed out in West Virginia with the chainsaw, and they probably could have brought a gun on set, and that probably would be fine in West Virginia.
And Texas too.
And you could probably have a gun rack on your car, and we could probably just pull over and shoot a deer if we felt like it. On our way to 7-Eleven. But that's West Virginia, and these laws do vary from state to state. A lot of laws vary from state to state. And
St. Louis too, we're out there shooting, no problem at all.
Yeah,
do another thing.
When in
People
doubt,
are used
look
to that,
it up
right?
online and see what the laws are for that particular state. Do your own research, because maybe the director isn't. And you want to make sure that you don't end up getting in trouble if the cops come. And maybe he's from Alabama and he thinks everything's cool here in New Jersey or here in New York City to do this. Guess what? Maybe it's not.
That's an interesting question. Have the cops ever come on set when you were on set?
Yes. I was doing a film
You'd make them long enough.
called Cool as Hell, and I was being chased by a demon, and we were shooting it handheld, and you're not required to have a permit to shoot if you shoot handheld. That's a law in New York and New Jersey. I'm not sure about how it is in other states. And so I was screaming so loudly because I was in the scene that 2 cop cars were summoned, and they just came by to make sure that nothing crazy was going on. And that happens once in a while. I was filming another movie in Long Branch, actually a zombie movie called The Soulless, and the cops came because they saw some of us dressed up as zombies and covered with blood, and they just wanted to make sure that nothing was going on that wasn't part of the film. Like, did someone get hit by a car? Was someone assaulted? And once they realized what we were doing, they're like, that's fine. We just want to make sure that wasn't real blood.
It happened to me in Texas one of the times. And the funny thing was, I screamed so loud, it was so real, and we were so far away from things, but the neighbors called. And the cops were coming down, And I know they were coming down for me. I just knew it. And we were crossing. We were asking them direction. And here I am already in the car, going back to the motel. And the cops are coming down to check out the Scream. And I got the call within minutes later that, they were checking it out. But I wasn't even there anymore, so I got away with that one. But
Were you guys ever in anything that got shut down? I mean, like I said, we were in something
yes.
where they actually had some kind of problem and they actually had to tell us go home. But were you in anything that was ever
that was shut down.
in the middle of filming?
A lot of times in the beginning when you were shooting things, much lower budget even, and parents would come home, they didn't think you were going to be there, or neighbors,
Get out of my
like
house.
that. Yeah,
And
like
take
that.
that blood with you.
And there was one more serious thing. I gotta remember that one though, because so many years. I mean, 20-some years being in this business. Back when there was the internet wasn't, you had to do everything was magazines. I was in over 300 magazines, and I was constantly on the newsstands, constantly, because it was all about magazines and all about pictures and promoting. And now the internet, this is great, this you really get everywhere. But it was a struggle back then. So anyone that I feel like I got out as a Scream Queen just at the cusp because of those magazines. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't even be Debbie D, who I am. I would have missed it because there were Scream Queens that came after that, before the internet as well, and they just fell flat. And they were really talented, and they just didn't go. And it was just, I think that's how.
Jamie Lee Curtis is
Yeah,
considered kind
yes.
of the dean of Scream Queens. What do you guys think of her?
I like the fact that she doesn't do anything, like she turned white. I think she's only like 53 years old, right?
She's eating a lot of
But
yogurt now.
Yeah, but she lets herself be herself. I like that. She doesn't do anything
doing,
Hollywood
like, yogurt
stuff.
commercials?
She was always kind of a natural beauty, like
Yeah.
girl next door kind
Yeah.
of person, and I think that really was part of her charm and her sexuality that made her so attractive. Is that she was really attractive, but in like a girl next door kind of normal kind of way, and she's retained that. She's not doing the plastic surgery. She's going gray, and she's remaining natural as she ages. And I think she's a really great actress. She got her start doing Halloween and Prom Night. But she's also segued into doing a lot of mainstream film as
They
well.
didn't even want her for that.
Very talented, no?
They felt that she was just she's just a Scream Queen. But that is actually Scream Queen work as we know it today.
If I ever meet her, I have a great conversation starter. My mother went out with her father once. Tony Curtis, back when he was Bernie Schwartz.
Oh, wow.
He was in some play upstate, and my mother went rowing with him.
Oh, wow.
This was like one of her. She had a little
Was it a
program
nice
in the
day?
bottom of the drawer.
Rowing. How
I don't
athletic.
know. I was
must have gotten
obviously
real sweaty.
not even a thought at the time yet, but
Yeah.
she was quite proud of
What
that.
if he's really your father?
You know what? You kind of look like him. You do.
I think he really is
I'm
your
on a blood
father.
test. Get Jamie over here. That can be checked
And there's
out.
no makeup on you. This is all natural show here. You look like you have
All the original factory parts.
Really? Wow. I think he is your father. You
I
never
do.
know. And then you'd be related to Jamie Lee Curtis.
I'd get a couple of bucks out of that.
Yeah.
Might even get a part in something.
You
I'd
never
rather,
know.
Activia.
I'd
Can
rather
I
get the
into
movie part.
Can I get into the Activia commercial too?
Yeah, okay.
You might get a lifetime supply of Activia for that.
Do you like yogurt?
It's good yogurt,
I'll eat yogurt. I like it better now that I'm realizing
That-
my relationship to the whole yogurt situation.
That's good. You're very supportive.
So, have you ever been in anything that ran into trouble? A film, I mean. I know you're big trouble.
I mean, I've had heard of, projects I've been working on that lost several days, a day or two because the police shut it down. But not when I was there.
No.
No, not when I was there. So, yeah.
Well, it was interesting. Well, we weren't shut down by the police, but we were shut down, so that was interesting.
Oh, we were in that?
Yes, we were together in this warehouse. And
The
all
Genesis Project, wasn't that what it was?
that's what it was. the Genesis
That's
Project.
what I
We
just
all
came to me.
That's how it
And we
happens.
had filmed, like, a big bunch of time. And the guy who was running it was pretty good about time. He wasn't one of these guys who keep you waiting around for 8 hours. And we had filmed something, and he said, you're going to film this next thing in a little bit. But there was some guy with somewhat of a name who they brought in. They wanted to get his scene done. We went to wait upstairs. Next thing you know, they called everybody downstairs, and they said, you all got to leave. You just got thrown out. They didn't have permission to film there, apparently, or something.
I remember it happening one
There
time.
was some kind of miscommunication.
I was in Cape May, New Jersey, which is only like 2 hours from Philadelphia. Beautiful place in a lighthouse. Because I also had the comic character Destiny the Vampire Mermaid in Scary Monsters magazine that's out all over the world, Barnes and Nobles, everything. Well, that character, we were trying to do a live action series with her. And we're all prepared, have everything, we're going down, and someone came up, the lighthouse keeper, someone in the area, someone with authority, do you have a permit to be here? No, but we're all prepared to film here. But what we did is we were bad. It started to rain. So he scurried off to get dry. And then we went around the banks and went on the rocks and shot anyway. And those pictures were plastered everywhere. It was still pictures, and then the video. It was great, beautiful work. Now, had we not just went, like I said, the show must go on, we would have never got them if we listened to the authority. So I have to go against authority sometimes.
Okay,
Guerrilla filmmaking.
we are actually winding down.
Oh, okay.
I want you guys to give it a chance to get your contact info. Let me know what you're doing. What are you doing, Debbie? How can people get a hold of you?
DebbieD.com, where my email is. That's the only thing that's real private for me, because I have people working my Facebook and a lot of my publicity sites. So with my email is private. So I do, and you can get that from my website, DebbieD.com, which is DEBBIED.com, no E's. And you can find me on Facebook, but like I said, I'm not actively on there. And I work in Spain next fall. I'm working on a film. And what am I doing? And I'm probably going up to Connecticut in the winter. I'm working on another film, and that's about the size of it for now, I guess.
Genoveva,
There's something popping up.
How can
You
we
can
get a
check
hold
out my
of you?
website, GenovevaRossi.com. That's GENOVEVA Rossi, ROSSI. Check that out. You can look me up on Facebook, Genoveva Rossi, Instagram, or Twitter. Look me up on IMDb. I'm working on Mr. Bones, actually tomorrow, a short film that's in production. Look for me in the coming year in Apocalypse Kiss, Death House, 100 Acres of Hell, and Herschel Gordon Lewis's Blood Mania, his last film.
Samantha.
So you can get a hold of me at SamanthaRiversCole.com, SamanthaRiversCole.com. And right now I have we got 1 minute left, looks like. Okay, well, got 2 web series going on, Net News and Binge right now, and a short film next year so far.
Okay, well, that is our show for today. I want to make sure that everyone, if you see this before Halloween, comes to my big Halloween party on the 28th, the Friday before Halloween at 235th, the Top Rooftop Club in New York. Celebrity judges, costume contest, lots of great stuff. You could find me at Andy Tasting NYC at andytroid.com, and keep an eye out. Look for me on Facebook. You can write me at andyftroid@AOL.com. We'll be back next week with sex stories in the news. But for now, we are gone.
Happy Halloween.